Hello and a very warm welcome to the channel. I have got some news. I am starting a family. No, I'm not. I'm coronavirus positive. Not coronavirus positive twice over. Like, can you imagine the bad luck? You go 2 whole years, no coronavirus. Then 2 days in a row test positive. It's ridiculous. But no, I am perfectly well. I am actually doing very well. But I am restricted to this room because, as I say, I'm still testing positive for coronavirus. So what better way to spend the time than to make some videos for you guys? So this is one I planned to make back in February. It was going to be my Super Bowl special. It didn't happen, as you can probably tell. So this is a European's introduction to the NFL. I'll put the original video in the description. It looks great fun. I know almost nothing about this subject. As I say, this should have been done a couple of months ago, but let's not get bogged down with who should have made what video when. And let's enjoy this. I think it should be interesting.
Hello there, non-American.
Hello!
You might have heard of this NFL thing over here in America. By that I mean you probably turn on the Super Bowl every year and have no clue what's going on. And I mean, why should you?
I watched a bit of... There was American football playing in my college when I was at university, where there's loads of American students. They used to watch American football, and I saw a few bits of it, and I did not have a fucking clue. I got the general idea of trying to get the thing from one side to the other, kind of like rugby, but like beyond that, it was a complete mystery to me. It looked really cool, but what's going on? No idea.
Why should you give a shit about a sport we call football, in which we, admittedly, barely ever put foot to ball? And I mean,
I'm not going there.
You got us there. It's not a game well. But aren't you a little bit curious, like why the NFL is the most popular, the most watched sports league in America? Why does this stupidly named sport completely dwarf the NBA, baseball, hockey? It's not even close.
Wow.
But I think the real reason why the NFL has become so popular in America is because it almost is custom made for TV. Guys, this might be sacrilege to say, but
I've heard it's like American football games are more an event than just a sports game. So you have like a halftime show, right? With like sports, not with sports, or that's the NFL is the sport with music and stuff. It's more than just the sport, which I think is a little bit different to how we tend to do things in the UK.
I think if people, or sports fans, are really honest with themselves, 9 times out of 10, watching the game on TV, way better than being in the stands.
Oh.
Like, yeah, you don't get the atmosphere and all that stuff, but hey.
God, he really is punching the bell. That's, so presumably NFL, like American football fans are non-segregated, right? So in the UK, in British football or soccer, you normally have home fans and away fans, essentially just stop them fighting each other. As far as I'm aware, that's not necessary in any American sports, but I might be wrong. But please comment below. Do you ever have games where like the Dallas Cowboys fans and the New York Jet fans are kept in like segregated sides of the stadium? I don't know. I'd be really interested. As far as I'm aware, no, but I might be wrong.
Probably watching this from a country away, so you don't even care.
London.
But the NFL has got this viewing experience down to a freaking T. They got all the angles, slow-mo, players mic'd up so you can hear what they say. Did they catch?
Is that really? You can hear everything they say? Is that just not like really annoying? Isn't it some bloke going, ow, ow, for about 90 minutes? I mean, or to be honest, a slightly more offensive version of that. Because that's sure as hell what I'll be doing.
Everything. And simply, you get to see things and meet characters that you cannot see in any other sport.
Second down, 20, 5:03 to go. Someone has run on the field. Some guy with a brawl. And now he's not being chased. He's running down the middle of 40. Arms in the air in a victory salute. He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants. He's being chased to the 30. He breaks a tackle from a security.
This guy's really good. Oh, no, the only American football player I know is Tom Brady. So I'm going to, from now on, to me, this man is always Tom Brady. And Tom Brady just got up in my estimation. So
the 20, down the middle of the 10, the 5. He slides at the 1, and they converge on him at the goal line.
Nice one, Tom. If you could promise me that would happen in every game, I would definitely pay money to watch.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man!
Riddle me this. In what other multi-billion-dollar sports league in the world would you meet a guy like Michael Crabtree? Now, what you need to know about Michael Crabtree is he is the type of guy to wear a $10,000 chain in the middle of a professional game. And the man guarding him is Aqib Talib. An important thing you need to know about Aqib Talib, that he is the type of guy to snatch a man's chain in the middle of a professional match.
Wait. NFL players just mug each other? Like you have like bits of kit you can rip off and just keep. I'm assuming it's just this one guy, but that's pretty crazy. I hope he gave it back. Otherwise, it's a right dick move.
But you don't know Michael Crabtree. He would wear yet another chain, but this time, Crabtree had a plan. Instead of leaving his chain exposed, he would tape it down underneath his pads.
Smart guy.
Unfortunately for him, this did not deter Aqib Talib. And upon their next meeting, snatched the chain once again. Aqib Talib too?
So what's the next step? Is he going to like sew it into his skin or something? Oh, dude, this is... I seriously want to know more about these two guys.
Michael Crabtree, 0. In what other sport would you meet another character like Marshawn Lynch? A man whose run literally caused a recorded earthquake. And the punctuation at the end of the run, as you can see, as Marshawn is crossing the end zone, he jumps up in the air and grabs his family jewels. If N'Golo Kante is the most lovable man in all the sports, Marshawn Lynch might be the realest.
Not so
keen on that. What you need to know about Mr. Lynch is he's from Oakland. And for you overseas people, Oakland don't fucking play. It's fucking rough. When he was growing up there, it was one of the most dangerous places in America. And Lynch is loyal to the place till he dies. How loyal is this man to Oakland? He ran onto the field to fight his own teammates and then got ejected from the game in order to protect a dude on the other team because that was his homeboy from Oakland. And then after he got ejected...
That is ridiculous. I've seen a couple of cases where in soccer games or football games over here, if like two players on the same team have a fight, but to have a fight to protect a player on the other team, I don't think of it. That is next level. That is mind blown.
Oh, he just took the train back home to Oakland with the fans. This man is so Oakland that in the final home game ever to be played in Oakland Stadium, he was honored as the last person ever to light the ceremonial torch, remembering the late great owner of the Oakland Raiders, Al Davis. And then a little bit later, proceeded to attempt to light a blunt from said memorial torch. I have no doubts that Al Davis would have...
Is that legal? Like, I know your laws are a bit different, but...
wanted it any other way. God bless Marshawn Lynch. Have I sold you on the circus yet? This is where only the freakiest of the freaks come out to play. Where else are you going to see a six-fold...
So this is an interesting point with American sports generally, is that it does seem that generally, I suppose quite extremely shaped individuals do very well. So I'm thinking, obviously, American football is really, really big guys. Basketball, really, really tall guys or women. We get that a bit over here. Rugby tends to be quite big guys, but it's not as big, I don't think. And I mean, in soccer, you can be any size. You can be a skinny little fucker like me, and still. I mean, not me specifically. I'm not that good, but you can be a skinny guy and still play quite well. It's a sport which is open to all body types. So that's kind of interesting how some of the big American sports have very specific body types. And it's not my body type, as you can probably tell.
Or 234-pound monster who can legitimately keep up with Olympic caliber sprinters. Ooh. This genetic Adonis is named DK Metcalf. For fans of the Premier League, imagine a dude bigger than Lukaku who's faster than Mbappe. Now put him on offense and watch him absolutely toy with anyone who has to guard him. Or mark him, as you guys say over there. Yeah. Oh yeah, you see this poor guy who's just like bouncing off him, just some scrub, right? No, that's just reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore. Oh, you were the Virgil van Dijk of last year? Here, guard Donkey Kong. Good luck. It really is just kaiju battling kaiju in this league.
Yeah.
Mutants trying to murder, destroy, and humiliate each other on a weekly basis.
It does look like incredibly violent. And also not just because you tackle a person with the ball, but because my understanding is like you all smash into each other. So even if you haven't got the ball, you're still kind of engaging in combat, which is something we don't really have over here. I mean, it looks awesome, and the kits they wear look like they look like something like dreamt up by a 1960s science convention. But yeah, no, it's not something I'm that familiar with.
It's a league where only the top 0.1% of athletes can survive. And amidst all the CTE being dished out, all the ACLs being snapped, there are certain special players who can create moments of grace and beauty. It's this insanity. Any play can be these players' last.
So the bloke, I saw the bloke throwing a rag or something, or it was like a sort of yellow or orange cloth. I've seen that happen before. I don't know what it means. Is that what happens when you get a point? Like, please tell me below. Perhaps we'll get to it later in the video.
It's sad but true, and it doesn't get much more high stakes than when any hit could take years off of your life. The dedication, the skill, the talent, frankly, the insanity needed to survive, let alone thrive in the NFL, seems superhuman at times. Yeah, there's some spicy stuff to be had here. But I also understand, as someone probably completely new to the NFL, that there's some pretty big barriers to entry here. Like, one, you're probably used to like 20 team leagues. How the do you choose a team from 32? And what the do all these lines mean? And what the hell is a 2nd and 8? Well, have no fear, my friend, for this is my favorite sports league in the world. And I'm going to break it down to you in relatable terms for y'all. Give you a lowdown on which teams you might want to follow this season. And by the end of this video, hopefully you'll be primed and ready to welcome in American football into your life. Welcome to A Clueless Non-American's Guide to the NFL.
Clueless, a bit offensive. Accurate, but a bit offensive. I'll take it.
Disclaimer, I'm mostly going to be talking to the Brits here because they're my main demo outside of America. But I think anyone who's familiar with the Premier League will get this Spark Notes guide of the most popular sport in America. But alright, let's rip the band-aid off, let's get it over with. Yes, they're both named football. And yes, you're right. It's dumb that we call it football, okay? I admit it. We rarely use our feet in the game. But back when the sport was becoming popular in America, feet were actually a more integral part of the sport. And we didn't know it was going to become...
My understanding is that American football evolved from rugby, or at least the two are very closely related. But it grew out of rugby in American colleges. I don't know if that's true. If you know, please comment below. But that's my admittedly very limited understanding. Rugby, of course, is still very popular in the UK. But there's kind of rugby league and rugby union, which are different sports. They've got different demographics, but they're both popular in the UK.
I'm a freaking multi-billion-dollar industry, okay? We didn't know, and for whatever reason, your football never got popular here. And then when it did, we needed to call it something different. So our solution was we took a word that you guys came up with, the English came up with soccer, and now you guys give us a whole bunch of shit about it. But if the NFL ever gets popular in your country, well, you're gonna have the same issue that we do, aren't you? So I thought...
Yeah. We can call it NFLer or something like that. Oh yeah, putting on the end of things is like a typical posh thing. So sometimes rugby is called rugger, so association football becomes soccer, etc. It's like a sort of public school, which is paid for private school thing that some people do.
You guys, the British, gave us the word soccer. It's only apt that us Americans give you the alternative word for American football. And I've thought a lot about this. But I think you guys should call American football soccer too. I'm sure it'll cause no issues at all. You're welcome. But for this video, to avoid confusion, I'm just going to refer to it as American football or NFL. Alright? So let's get down to the basics real quick. How the fuck does this sport work? Like you probably know, score a touchdown, kick a field goal, good. But what the fuck is all this
that's very light rugby.
Shit in between. Now admittedly, the rules of football are kind of complicated. There are rules and procedures that honestly I still don't understand to this day. And I've been watching it since I was a toddler. But the NFL, they know their target demo are Americans. Americans who usually can't remember how to fill out their Chipotle order, let alone grasp a rule book this thick. So what?
Well, I don't know about that, Americans. I think you're doing yourselves down because I got a letter from the IRS. I'm trying to find what do I do with it. Yeah, here it is. I got because I make a small amount of revenue on YouTube. I got sent a foreign person's US source income subject to withholding form. And it's so confusing. Like, how do you complete this? Americans, you're all geniuses. How do you deal with your tax system?
What they do? They dumbed it down for us on TV. And you, as a complete noob, are a beneficiary of this. Because you don't gotta get hung up on all the lines and all the numbers on the field. Starting out, this is the key. All you need to know is when your team is on offense, can someone from your team get the ball to that imaginary yellow line? Be it running it or passing it, did you get close or pass to the yellow line? Then it's good. Now, when your team is on defense, did someone on your team keep the ball from getting to that yellow line? Then it's good. Now, each team gets 4 attempts to get the ball to the yellow line. And that's what the down and distance means. 2nd and 8 means it's their second attempt, and they need to get 8 yards to get to that yellow line. And if they can get beyond that yellow line, then they get a new set of 4 attempts. And they do this usually chunking their way down the field, hopefully scoring a touchdown at the end, or at least getting enraged.
So how many, goes it take to get from one end of the field to the other? As if you start off in defense and then you're like pushing up and you get 4 goes to get to the yellow line, and then presumably the yellow line moves forward and you get another 4 goes and so on. How many goes does it take to get from one end of the field to the other? We're really interested to know.
To kick a field goal. And that's kind of all you really need to know to start out watching football. And yes, there are a bunch of other rules, but here's the other thing that you need to know about watching football, is that after every play, you're going to see that same play in slow motion 3 times over from 3 different angles while 2 announcers break down in detail even the smallest nuances of everything that you have just seen. Their explanation of what happened on the last play will last longer than the play itself. So don't worry about learning the rules and the nuances. It will be shoveled down your throat. Remember, This is a sport made for Americans. They have to dumb it down and slow it down in order for us to actually understand.
No, America, I won't have this. You're doing yourself down. As I say, I've just seen your tax forms. You're not dumb. Don't listen to the nasty internet people.
You can eventually get it. And we're as dumb as you guys claim we are, then you guys should pick it up instantly. Right?
Yeah.
And in fact, just last year, they started a program with Nickelodeon in which their broadcast team will actually explain the basic rules and concepts in real time in simple enough terms that American children can understand. When they kick a field goal on Nickelodeon, the field goal becomes a SpongeBob face. So if you can somehow get this broadcast and you still don't understand this, you are probably dumber than a 5-year-old American. God help you. Alright, so you got the basic understanding. Can someone get to the yellow line? But who the fuck should I root for? And the thing is, all 32 teams are kind of dope. Each one has a distinctive history, a backstory to the town that they represent.
So this is why American sport is very different from in Europe. Ironically, American sport's almost slightly kind of semi-socialist. So in Europe, basically, the rich teams can buy. I mean, a rich team gets brought by a rich owner, and it can then buy basically whoever it wants. That's how the Premier League works. And some of the teams have very rich owners, like basically the state of Saudi Arabia, but they kind of cover that up a little bit. And please don't sue me, that's not true. But in America, you have sort of rotation, don't you? Where you have the teams who do badly can pick the next player, the players first for the next tournament. Is something like that? I don't know what I'm saying, so you could talk back to me and answer my question, but that would be amazing. But yeah, so it seems in America it's much fairer. All 32 teams have some chance perhaps, and teams can become good and then become bad, whereas in the Premier League we have about the same sort of 5 or 6 teams are dominant and have been for a very long time.
Represent, and unlike in soccer leagues, Americans have invented something never before seen in sports leagues in Europe: parity. As in, we try to actually even out our sports teams.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The NFL has
You're all socialists.
Installed systems that theoretically should allow for the shittier teams to actually improve, while a hard salary cap makes it so that all the powerful teams cannot keep all of their...
It's a really interesting way of doing it. I don't know if that's better or worse. I think that's really, really interesting. It's just so different to what I'm used to, which is basically the richest teams win, basically. If you're a Premier League fan, who buys your team is far more important for the individual performance in games. So if you want to have a big celebration, you should celebrate when you get a good owner, not when you get a win streak, because the good owner will make far more difference in the long run.
Their best players. Yes, there aren't any Real Madrids or Manchester Cities in the NFL. There are no oil money oligarchs coming in and just buying up and hoarding all the best players on just a couple of teams. So there is actually a chance that any team you pick from these 32 will occasionally be good in your lifetime. I know this might be foreign to anyone who supports Nottingham Forest, but yeah, it's true. But word to the wise, don't root for the Jets.
What's Nottingham Forest done to this poor guy? Seriously.
Lions are Browns. Yeah.
I met a guy in Istanbul once who was a massive Nottingham Forest fan, Turkish guy. Blew my mind. Couldn't understand how he got into it.
Remember how I said that the NFL has all these measures to help out the bad teams? They do this by having a draft in which the teams who had the worst records from the season prior get the first pick at all the best talents coming out of college. Imagine this. Instead of Norwich City being relegated, instead they were rewarded with signing Mbappe on a cheap contract for the next 4 years. That's insane, right? Like, that is an insane catch-up mechanic if you've ever heard of it. Could you imagine how the Premier League would look if this was the structure? Now, also imagine, despite year after year, season after season, of being able to add the Hollands.
So, it's interesting that you mentioned they come through college, and I've heard a lot about college football as like a separate thing to the NFL. So do players go from college football to the NFL? Is college like almost like the training ground? Because definitely in the UK, university sports are not taken very seriously, with one or two exceptions. So I'd be really interested to know how it works in America. And does it do you have to go to college, or can you like not go to college and go straight and join a team? I'd be interested to know.
And Jadon Sancho's of the world, Norwich still came bottom of the league season after season. You would say, statistically, that's impossible. But be it through injuries, incompetent ownership, or just plain bad luck, the Jets, the Browns, and the Lions have been awful for pretty much as long as I can remember. You are a factory of sadness! But to my point about parity, this season, the Browns seem too loaded with talent to fail, and the Jets might not be a complete embarrassment this year. So I guess what I'm saying is you should probably just avoid Detroit. Sorry, MMG. Okay, well, got anyone else out of the 32 I should root for? Well, actually, yes. I have a very easy answer for the majority of you Brits watching this. And that is, you guys should root for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to most of the Brits watching this, you probably actually recognize this team name.
So I do, because they play, they've been playing NFL games in London for years and years now. I think it's something like 3 or 4 a season. And they've either played at Wembley, which is the home of English football, or Twickenham, home of English rugby, or the White Hart Lane, which is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I believe the first custom-built NFL stadium in Europe. Well, not all custom-built for American football. I mean, obviously for soccer as well. That's its main job. But yes, I know this Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're owned by the same guy who owns Fulham, which is a soccer club. So yeah, I'm familiar with this.
And that's because they're the one team that always plays a home game in London every year.
Yes.
And if you look this up, they played at least one game in London every year dating back to 2012. And last year they played 2. And why do you think they play in London every year? Why are they the only NFL team that plays in London year after year? Now, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Shahid Khan, has said multiple times that he is fully committed to keeping the team in Jacksonville. But, here's the thing.
Yeah, this franchise thing in American sport is something we don't really get at all. The idea that you can have like a team, you support a team all your life, and then suddenly it just uproots and moves to the other side of the country, just seems absurd. I mean, in soccer, the only case I can really think of would be Milton Keynes and AFC Wimbledon. And there is so much bad blood because of that. And like all fans were so angry about that. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of any other cases. So the franchise system is really interesting. And the idea of a team coming to London, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea. Comment below. Tell me what you think.
Jacksonville is one of the least popular, the least attended franchises in the NFL.
Okay, it must have more people than that, surely. Because that's like a village cricket match.
In fact, get more attendance from their home games in London than Florida. And on top of that, their owner is also the owner of Fulham Football Club. Yeah. And just tried to buy Wembley Stadium in 2018. Actions speak louder than words, bro, and there's just too much smoke here to ignore. Add on to this the fact that the NFL would like nothing more to expand into European markets. Fuck, I'm doing their job for them, aren't I? NFL?
But I feel really bad for fans if the fans in Florida, if the team moves to London and they just lose their team overnight, that's horrendous to me. That seems really, really bad. So I kind of hope that doesn't happen. But well, I mean, comment below. Maybe it's more normal in America. You guys are just used to it.
Call me. But long story short, Jaguars Our movie, why does this kid who looks like Sunshine from Remember the Titans has every single NFL scout wetting their pants? Well, basically, when this kid was fresh out of high school, he had an undefeated college football season, in which in the national championship, he dissected the college football team equivalent of a prime Real Madrid squad. He didn't just beat them, he destroyed them as a baby. All this without batting an eye. Nothing ever phases him. He can make every throw. He's even got a bit of mobility. He is as close to a perfect quarterback prospect as you can get. Remember when Neymar first transferred over to Barcelona? That is the level of hype around this guy. And in fact, this year's draft was special because it had 5 rookie quarterbacks that have like an Mbappe or Haaland level potential to them. And all 5 of them have looked very, very promising this preseason. So if old Sunshine and the Jags aren't your flavor, then maybe one of these other 5 prodigies could be a fun follow this season. Okay. I'll probably make a follow-up video profiling them, but that is a video for another day. But as for the Jaguars as a team as a whole, Brits, I'm gonna keep real with you. You know, while this kid might be a Tom Brady in the making, I'm not so sure if your owner really values football over making headlines. Like, he hired a legendary college coach, but this coach has 0 NFL experience. And for their off-season promo, they got pro wrestlers to come into the coaching office to have a Royal Rumble. Yes, this is a professional American sports league. And yes, maybe I'll give him a little bit of a pass because Shahid Khan also owns AEW. It is cross-promotion. And to all you international wrestling fans, I guess you found your team. Yeah. But in football terms,
that's
really,
what I want to say.
They're probably a few years away from being good, which is perfect for you, because by the time they actually move over there, they might actually have a good coach. And I do feel if you guys get a team in London, you're going to have a ginormous advantage with all the jet lag. You combo that with having football G.
How will that even work? Like, surely, I don't know how many games there are. Is there a game every week? But, like, surely it'll spend half the time crisscrossing between America and the UK. I mean, obviously in soccer, they play lots of games all over Europe, but the time zones in Europe aren't that bad. So the logistics of that would be insane.
As your quarterback, and you'll probably have a decent shot at beating almost any team in the league when they come. But if the Jaguars aren't your flavor, then to everyone else, my next bit of advice might sound a little bit crazy to you, but hear me out, okay? Just hear me out till the end. Even if you are completely new to the NFL, I think you should play fantasy NFL football this season. I know, it's kind of stupid to say. Like, how the F do I play a fantasy sports league where I literally don't know any of the players? But that is kind of exactly why I think even noobs should play.
I mean, it just means I can get humiliated in another fantasy sport league.
Play fantasy. Because simply, you don't need to know anything about the NFL to play American fantasy football. Because it is literally the easiest fantasy sport to play on the planet. Remember, it's designed for Americans. So they basically made it idiot-proof. Like, you as a complete noob.
Stop doing yourself
nothing
down,
about it, right?
America.
You literally don't even need to show up to the draft. And Yahoo or ESPN will auto-draft you probably a decent to good team. And here's the big secret to American fantasy football that diehards will never admit. American fantasy football is mostly just luck. Like, I've been playing fantasy football for 15 years. I'm a lifelong NFL fan. I've won my fair share of leagues. And I played in a league last year where a complete noob came in and drafted players based around the alphabet. No clue about the NFL. And he crushed me last season. And the reason how something like this could actually happen is because the other thing you need to understand about the NFL is that there's more change, more turnover from season to season than probably any other major sport in the world. Sure, some teams and players stay good. But really, they're more the exception. With the amount of injuries and all the rules to establish parity in the league, it's hard for the same teams and players to stay amazing year in and year out. Far more likely, teams and players usually go up and down in the NFL like...
So you wouldn't get like the same team winning the Super Bowl like 3 years in a row or something. Like, I mean, you could in European football, you could very easily have the same team winning. Or at least nearly winning for years and years. It sounds like that's less common in America.
Crypto. So even you, a complete noob with an auto-drafted team, probably has a decent chance of winning it all. So my best advice to you as complete noob to the NFL is find a bunch of other complete noobs. Do it in the comment section down below. Hell, I will make a couple leagues where you can play against me. First come, first serve, it'll be pinned to the top. But for everyone else who I can't play with, try to find some homies. Make leagues from 6 to up to 14. And even if you're watching this after the season starts, even if it's like 3 to 4 weeks into the season, if they allow you to still draft, bro. And this is the crucial thing. Everyone you're in the league with who is of legal age, throw in a tenner. And whoever wins the whole thing they win the pot. Why did I do this? Well, check out my last video on why we love sports. And basically, a cheat code to learn to love a sport. Bet money on it.
That's your point. You have to. You have to. You have to. You have to take that sport. You have to.
Poor guy.
Who wouldn't know? But making an amount so that, it's not going to hurt you if you lose, but you definitely want to win. But the bigger reason why I'm pitching fantasy football...
I'm going all in on this, like all my savings.
...to a noob like you is because I think it eliminates the two biggest hurdles for non-Americans to get into the NFL. And that's one, the fucking unholy, unrelenting barrage of commercials, and two, understanding the complicated rules of the game. You remember all the second and A and turnover and downs and rules in general? With fantasy, you don't gotta worry about any of that. Because Yahoo or ESPN or whatever platform you play on is going to take all the yardage, all the points, all the touchdowns. They will equate out to an easy-to-read point total that will quantitatively tell you Derrick Henry is 25 points better than A.J. Dillon. It will teach you who is good and who is trash really quickly. The commercials. They are nonstop and relentless. I get it. Y'all are spoiled, alright? With your 45-minute halves, your 90 minutes with only one break. It's just the best, right? Mm-hmm.
So in NFL you have 4 quarters, right? And you have adverts in between the quarters, like during the quarters. Is that how it works, or would you just have big blocks of adverts at the end of each quarter? Like in European football, you just have adverts generally at before the game, after the game, and at half time.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? We saw your 45 minutes of uninterrupted football, and we're like, well, that's cute. But how about
7 hours of commercial-free football?
Welcome to NFL Red Zone, the ultimate sports viewing experience for the ADHD generation. Every Sunday, now for 18 Sundays in a row, you get 7 hours, no commercials, of just whatever the best play is going on at that moment in real time. Now, this is by itself already a pretty dope viewing experience. And for everyone who hates commercials, just watch Red Zone. But imagine combining this viewing experience with having a fantasy team, polymerization card, and you got the Blue Eyes ultimate dragon of sports watching experiences. Because every Sunday when I see the dude on my fantasy team stiff arm another adult man into the shadow realm on his way to an 80-yard touchdown, all while I'm screaming at my league mate over Discord to suck my...
Honestly, next season, when does the next season start? Okay, well, there's no way I'm going to keep a fantasy league, but I might do something for it. Depends how this video does, to be honest.
My dick. And as I see the fantasy points pile up on my stat tracker, and I giggle, I laugh at my opponent's destruction. All is right with the world. All is right. And I cannot tell you how...
I think he's bringing up some stuff.
...much of a welcome to Oasis it's been every single Sunday, especially after this past hellscape of a year. But here's the drawback. It might be too addictive. I am legit just crackhead zoned out for 7 hours. I forget to go to the bathroom. I forget to eat. My girlfriend leaves me. But for those 7.5 hours, I am free. I am commercial free. And by you being a complete noob, by having zero loyalties to any of these teams, playing fantasy football will naturally and organically will make you have a connection with certain players. But the key is you gotta have stakes to the league. And I know some of you guys are legally too young to bet. Wink. So if you can't do that, then you have to do the next best thing. You have to put someone in the league you personally hate. You know that dude. You know that one dude, Alex. I cannot lose to Alex. You gotta put that motherfucker in your league, man. And since y'all love relegation so damn much, you should also make it whoever comes in last place in the league, they have to do some type of humiliating forfeit. But something fun. Like this dude came in last place and his league made him completely recreate the famous Sia video. And goddamn it, if he isn't nailing it. Get it, big boy. Get it good. And if I'm honest with my sports...
So wait, so if I do one of these leagues, I might have to wear a leotard and dance around the room. Honestly, things are looking up. I'm getting keener and keener on this.
Fan self. The Red Zone channel, Fantasy Football Wombo Combo, it's better. It's more enjoyable than actually watching even my beloved 49ers play. Yeah, call me a bad sports fan all you want, okay? But all I know is how I feel. And every year, when the fantasy season is over, I dearly miss it. Oh shit, it really is crack. I get withdrawals. Dear God. We've made too addictive of a sports viewing experience. Good job, America. So you've been warned, but if you would like to get into the crack cocaine of sports, if you get the Sky package for the NFL, Red Zone comes with it. And if you can't get Sky where you are, get a VPN, and now you can. But to those
Way.
who don't like fantasy or have a crippling gambling addiction, you probably still want a team, a real team, to bandwagon. No shame, no
Yeah.
shame. But
This is speaking to me.
video is running way too long, and the season has already started, so I just gotta get this out. So I'll be releasing part 2 of this non-Americans guide to the NFL in about a week or so, in which I go ahead and break down all the best teams that you guys should be bandwagoning this season. But for now, I say gather up the homies, pull your resources together to get Red Zone, and start playing fantasy. Or if you have no friends like me, try to get a hold of maybe the Nickelodeon broadcast, and that'll give you a really good basic understanding of the game. But before I go, I've been reading the comments section. A lot of you Europeans seem to be interested in this NBA thing over here. And that got me to thinking, would
I think I can see what's coming.
some of you guys be interested in a non-American's guide to the NBA?
Yes, actually, genuinely, I would be. That would be very good. In fact, the baseball would be the most useful one.
But that is a video for another day. Thank you guys once again for watching.
So that was really interesting. I know a lot more about American football than I did before. Admittedly, a very, very low baseline. 2 minutes on Wikipedia would have given me more knowledge as well. But no, that was really well done. Probably too much on fantasy stuff because I'm not really that interested in that. And I'd like to know more about the difference between NFL and college football and how they interact with each other. And a bit more about how long the games are and perhaps the history of some of the teams. But I appreciate this would be like a 5-hour long video. But so yeah, I hope you found it interesting. If you did, please comment below. I might do another. I think he said he got another video on American football, on different teams, so I could do react to that. If not, also let me know. I can stick to just doing plain history, or plain history and non-sport American culture. So thank you very much for watching. If you made this far, you are a living god, and please do subscribe. Thank you.